All right, we are here with episode 3.
Let's just
Can
jump
you
right into
do you
it.
want to say anything about episode 3 before we begin? Anything you remember?
Not much. I liked Erica saying, "I told you to eat your damn pie." Um, everything else, everything else is pretty messy.
Upon first watch, I remember this being my least favorite episode of Act 1. We will see if it's different this time around.
Yeah, I have my doubts.
So, we're really beating a dead horse here, but I just have to say it. I mean, the first 2.5 minutes of this episode, and we've established that the wall is thick. That could have been like a 5 second scene.
Yeah, I don't. I mean, I like that Hopper is doing what little he can, I guess, to try to get through the wall. I don't love him. Like, he clearly isn't going to get through that fucking wall with a knife, so I don't know why he's bothering. It almost seems like that's just to make it seem more natural when he stabs the knife into it, because that's going to be
Yeah,
important for them knowing they're there.
him leaving the knife in this wall is next level stupid.
I mean, in his defense, I don't know how the military tracking the Demogorgon, or do they just get insanely lucky and happen to drive to the one spot that these guys are at?
Just, I mean, they were doing just, I guess they do general scan of the entire area, so they would have found it eventually, but just a general scan.
Yeah, I mean, it's weird how like the truck comes in from over the horizon and it literally drives to where they are standing and parks there.
That is true.
And I don't. It might be tracking the Gorgon. We'll go ahead a little bit.
All
You really should
right.
have left a note. Is this funny to you? Oh, sorry. It must be my.
I think it's kind of ridiculous that Joyce is pampering him like this hard. I mean, I get Robin is older than him, but he's still, I mean, in canon, he's got to be at least like 16 at this time, maybe a little older, like around that age. Like he has agency. He decided to go, and she's just blaming everything on Robin. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I wonder if that. I don't remember Will complaining about that in the future, but it's a bit different than like Hopper's like overprotectiveness, where he's very clearly aware that Eleven is like hyper capable, whereas Joyce seems like she actually seems to think like Will is gonna like fall apart if he's like touched. Like he's just super fragile and he cannot be risked in any way.
And I'll give them the benefit of the doubt. That is like this is intentional. They want the scene to read this way. I just subjectively don't like the decision for both characters.
Yeah, I will say I think Will does step in and like tell his mom off,
Yeah, he
which is
does
a
it right.
slight improvement. Yeah.
The kid anymore. Will, I am still your mother.
And yeah, like that feels like a good moment, but like it feels weird when he's like, I'm not a kid anymore. It's like you were going to stay there the entire time until Robin convinced you otherwise.
Yeah, I like the scene just because it's Will taking back some agency in his character. And I mean, this is just getting into spoiler territory for the rest of the season, but one of my biggest complaints for so many characters is it just feels like they are just sitting around having no agency in their own stories, just waiting for things to happen. So the fact that Will gets to have any form of development is an actual plus in the show's favor compared to everything else.
Yeah, I do like that he is making a bit of progress. It is nice to see. Also, look at her reaction is funny. Like, oh, look at you.
Oh shit, buddy, speaking up.
I said, in the future, we will try to leave a note.
We should go.
So
Stop that. We don't have much time.
this is worth saying. I really like that moment for Will, but I don't like Robin having to immediately undercut it with humor. It kind of
Yeah.
feels like a lot of problems that like MCU movies have, the weaker ones, where every time there's a serious moment, they just can't let it linger. I think the Superman, the movie, had a really annoying moment of that where Clark was talking to Lois and they kind of did the same thing. And it's just like, Robin, stay out of the conversation. Let Will have a good moment. Immediately undercutting it with a quirky humor is just like, bruh.
Yeah, especially literally the character who's like, I'm perpetually insincere. Just like, I am waiting to undercut any emotional moment with my quirky
Yeah.
dialogue.
Before we get into any serious characterization for dipshit Derek over here, what do you think about this character?
I I'm not gonna lie, I don't know exactly how to feel about him. He really annoyed me when he first showed up, and he kind of grew on me, and now he just kind of confuses me.
He,
The arc that I thought they were giving him, they kind of already are ignoring.
During this first episode, when I was watching it, I was like, this kid is annoying as shit. Why are they including him? Just so unnecessary. And then by the next episode, I'm like, okay, they've gone so over the top that I've come back around and think this is so ridiculous that I actually like him. And then they just in the next act, he's a nothing burger. He just isn't a character. He's barely involved. And I was just like,
Yep.
bruh, I just started liking this character. Are we serious? But again, it's just another instance of like we're introducing another character into an already
Yeah.
bloated story. Like, please, like, just give us screen time with the characters we already know and love.
Yeah, and it's yet another like very comedic character too. Like, and this is the last act of the story. This is the final battle, as Lucas put it. And here we are introducing dipshit Derek in season 5. It's just you have so many characters already. You should have and could have just given this to somebody else that we already know.
Agreed.
A little.
I will say I get that they're young, but it really bugs me how later on when we have a big old cast of kids, they're all like so easily brainwashed by this guy. I do appreciate that in contrast. Holly is already like she at least seems to be conveying it through the actress. She seems to already be a little skeptical. Like she's almost afraid to ask why she can't actually get a hold of her parents when she's given a vague answer,
So,
which I feel like that would track.
for what it's worth, even though I stand behind the fact that including Holly in the season is strange because there just isn't enough time for a whole new arc, but for what it's worth, I think this actress is ironically enough one of the better actors on the cast, at least for this season, and I actually think her story is interesting. I just don't think it was the right time and place. Now is also probably a good time to bring up. I think Henry's design is so much more menacing than Vecna's. Like Vecna's design is scary. Don't get me wrong, and it has that like eldritch
Eh.
deity, whatever it's called. But this guy, like this good-looking skinny guy who's so perfect with these like random flashes of anger, so much
Yeah.
scarier.
Yep, I completely agree. And honestly, I really don't like Vecna's design at all. It reminds me a lot of the Grinch.
Grinch.
It's just a big like gooey mess, and I
Oh,
don't know.
speaking of the Grinch, I just said this to Katarina. I think it's such a bummer that they didn't, or maybe they will in the finale, implement any sort of Christmas element into this season.
Hmm.
Because, like, season 3 is set in the summer and it's very much summertime vibes. Same thing with season 4. Like, they're in the desert in California. It fits the vibe for when they released it, fits the tone of the season. This is just, I don't know, it's fall, but it's like snowing where I am right now, and I would have loved to see some snow for Christmas, but whatever.
Yeah, it would have been nice if they did kind of what they did in season 1, where you get through the spooky season, and then Christmas is like the bright light at the end of the tunnel.
Yep.
Because they have that in the end of season 1, like they even exchange
You're
gifts and shit.
right,
Like
yeah.
that's when Steven replaces John's camera for him.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, I wish they'd done something like that too.
A favorite.
Oh, that's one aspect I want to mention too. Because this is like a mind palace, it does make for a pretty good like self-inflicted prison basically. There's one part in a later episode where all the kids are like watching TV, and I wondered for a second like, "Oh, wait, like is that's not an actual movie." So it's like it must be something they've all seen before. The same way he just knows like what she would want as a present, and that it like it appears inside the mailbox for her.
That's cool. We'll have to zoom in on it when the movie plays or TV show, whatever it is.
Yeah, because it just made me wonder. I was like, oh, like what is actually in this like house? And I think it can change like to satisfy the kids basically, which helps like keep them there without questioning it.
Hmm.
Also, this threw me for a loop. So when we cut away, they had the gun like on and aimed dead ahead, and then 11 happened to get hit by it. So it makes you think like, oh, they're coming for her, like they know where she is. And then we cut back here, and it's like they're parking and they're all chill. It's like, oh, like they literally did just happen to drive straight towards 11 and Hopper.
I also can't believe there isn't any type of like signal they can use to pick up anyone in front of them, or not even just for 11, for like Demogorgons and stuff. I think that's kind
Yeah,
of odd.
yeah. So this is a checkpoint. Like this just happens to be a place that they would check anyway. Is that the idea?
Yeah, I would think they would drive to the end of all the roads and have all those be checkpoints.
Okay, I guess that makes sense. Still lucky that 11, 11 and Hopper planted their knife right here.
And didn't just stay in the woods and do it.
Yeah.
One out. Recon. Meaning I take a leap.
Also, like the checkpoint literally happens to be where the Demogorgon like climbed up the wall and dropped Holly's. It's all very very lucky.
And you guys take 5.
It's aimed away from her, and it still hits.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess maybe
Yep.
it's like it could be rebounding off the wall, possibly. That's like the only thing I can think of.
I feel like maybe the like most charitable I could be is the idea is as you're closer to it, it doesn't matter if it's aimed directly at you because it's like emitting a sound. So maybe like to reach you from further distances, it has to actually be aimed directly at you. But yeah, we'll see that like it gets stronger as they turn it towards her, and that's how they find her.
Hmm.
Sorry, I gotta stop. Did he say he needs backup and air cover? Is that what he said?
Yeah, I think they say that they have a helicopter somewhere in the Upside Down, which I guess could be. I guess yeah. I don't know why they would need air cover, but yeah.
That makes me wonder like why you aren't searching for 11 with helicopters, or even why there would only be the one helicopter in the upside. I guess yeah, they 11 just got here, so they wouldn't have all the
My-
resources.
My defense would also be the lightning. Like maybe the lightning is
Oh yeah, true.
only thing I can think of.
That makes sense, I guess. I don't know why. I guess he was just trying to move forward. It bugs me that like Hopper's opened fire on them, and these military guys aren't like taking cover. Like I don't know what his plan was. If he was literally gonna like run up to the like this guy when he walks forward, he was just gonna walk up to the billboard that Hopper can see and shoot through.
I like this is true nitpick territory, but I'm okay with nitpicks. But if we're being like super logical, just get in the truck, get in the armored truck, and just drive around them. If you know she's
Yep.
really dangerous, you know.
Yeah. It just kind of bugs me that it's partially justified in the sense that Hopper is ex-military. But I do wish that the like actual current active military just showed a bit more strategy as opposed to like two of them just walking straight up to the billboard, getting blown up, and then like the commander like walking out of cover and immediately getting knocked out.
It's also
Again, they're not allowed to be competent or threatening, and it's
It's also-
annoying.
It's also worth noting to the people who have already been like, "Why are you guys nitpicking?" We are. This is what this is for. We're gonna be nitpicking both pros and cons, and that's just the way of the world for us right now.
Yep. Just digging deeper to see what works and what doesn't.
Bike crash. So head first into a light post. Look, I'm sorry about missing the call about everything.
It's not your fault.
So
I do like that we have that brief moment of Steve being like, "Really, dude? Like, you're still going with that?"
it's also worth noting that I can't remember if they do, but it's nice that he's the only one that it seems is like, bro, you're lying. We know you're lying.
Yeah. It looks like Lucas is a bit suspicious,
Yeah.
maybe. But like Mike right away is like, "Oh, it's not your fault." So he seems to buy it, which again, I don't love for Mike. Of all the things that you could have going for him, like being the glue that ties everyone together, that actually understands everybody, that would be nice. But whatever. Mike just, as usual, is oblivious to how his friends are actually feeling and what's going on with them.
Yeah, it's definitely tough, and I feel like I hate because criticizing an actor or actress is hard because I think a lot of it is subjective and comes down to just the way you feel. It's hard to give like an objective measure for a lot of scenes, but I want to say Finn Wolfhard is the weakest actor for these first few episodes. That's going to change as we proceed.
Yeah, I have a very hard time gauging actors like talent because so much of it can just be direction. And when it comes to like Mike just has so little to work with that I don't know if it's his fault.
Yeah.
Like as long as he knows how to like cry, he should be okay to give us a better version of Mike. It's just that the writing, the way that Mike's character has been written, is just he doesn't really have anything to show off with.
When it comes down to dissecting acting, a lot of it really just is I can't explain everything in terms of when it's bad, but I can explain it when it's good. And I think that is just a unanimous for a lot of people. I don't know how detailed I can go in explaining why I don't think Finn Wolfhard's acting is great in a lot of scenes, but I can go into a lot of detail as to why I feel Dustin's character, and I think his name is Gaiden something, why his acting is phenomenal. We'll get to that later.
Yeah, definitely. And there'll be a whole bunch of examples that we can draw upon when we get to like the end.
Yeah, I think he's the best actor of the bunch, and it's really not close.
Yeah, he's the only one who's like gotten real emotion from me. So I'd probably agree.
Yourself up.
Okay, yeah, so Lucas I think does suspect something, which again,
Yeah.
I like because they're good friends. Just it's more reason to be annoyed at Mike. But he's like, or like it looks like he already beat himself up.
Yeah.
Across the street. As soon as
This
they're
is
asleep, we move in.
really worth noting again with the allegory for sexual assault. Henry very much is a predator to these children. He befriends them. He takes interest in the things that they're interested in. He plays into the things that they like, and I think they really could have told a great story if they leaned into it even more.
Yeah. Like I said, I'd need like time to actually think about the whole story from that angle. But yeah, I think just on its face, there's a lot of cool angles that they could have had where, like you said, there's a whole house of kids getting taken. And like, that's why them acting like they're already brainwashed so quickly is really annoying because it would have been nice to see like Henry being a bit more effective at manipulating them, but we only really get a hint of that with Holly, and then boom, all the kids are there and they already believe him wholeheartedly, which is kind of annoying.
Now, what do you know about Henry's backstory? Because this is a very interesting thing the Duffer Brothers have done, and I think very stupid. Do you know anything about Henry's backstory?
I did. I've forgotten pretty much all of it.
Okay. The reason I'm asking, this isn't even about season 4. Are you familiar with the play, the Stranger Things play?
No.
So there's a play on Broadway, which I'm going to be seeing next month, actually. And it is essentially Henry's backstory, where he's in high school with Joyce and Hopper. And I'm hoping they explain this more in the finale because we don't really know any of this. But it's implied in the later episodes that Henry opens that box of like mind flare particles and then gets taken over by the mind flare. Do you remember this? Do you know that
No.
the briefcase that the guy has in the tunnel?
Oh, yeah.
So those are mind flare particles, and the play is apparently how Henry Creel is trying to fight against the mind flare taking his body, and then ultimately losing. So if you take the play as canon, which I think they are, and I'm like 90% sure they are, then Henry Creel this whole time is a victim of the mind flare. And I'm saying this, I'm pulling this all back to the allegory for sexual assault, where it's like, cycles of violence and trauma, and how what happens to you as a kid, you're more likely to do those things in the future due to habits and stuff. And I think that there is a very interesting story to be told there, but they are just so lackluster in setting it up to where it just feels so random and so frustrating.
Okay. That's interesting because so what little I do remember is I thought that Henry had already been like corrupted and basically evil before he got banished to the abyss. And then he said he found something, like he found the hive mind. And the idea was the way he conveys it is he like joined it willingly. And I've been thinking, especially with like his speech to Will, I've been wondering if like the idea is that Henry, in a similar fashion to Will, was like he was the first person victimized by the hive mind, and he's actually convinced himself that it was something he wanted to do willingly because like a vulnerable child, he was in a place all alone, and he didn't have anyone or anything to protect him. So he ended up kind of having like this Stockholm syndrome with the hive mind to make himself like cope with it.
Yeah, and I just, again, I think all that's really interesting. I can't believe it's gatekept by a Broadway play, which probably 1% of the Stranger Things fans have access to. Luckily enough, I'm part of that 1%. But seriously, like, such a gnarly decision.
That's a crazy decision. It's canon, right?
I'm like 99% sure it's canon.
I mean, if it wasn't canon, that'd be a bit more understandable. But like, if it's canon, like that's criminal. Like, put just just hiding it behind not a paywall, hiding it behind a New York wall. You gotta
Location
live there to
wall.
see it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a paywall. The tickets were like $600, dude.
Jesus
Yeah.
Christ.
So when I dropped that video, I invested. Keep that in mind.
Damn. That's wild.
What?
So that Vecna can't find him.
Yeah.
So they just throw that out there. They need to blindfold Derek. It's really important. It's basically the only way that like Vecna could find Derek and his whole family is if someone were to fuck up the blindfolding.
Why, Mom?
I just feel it's worth noting
Yeah.
because it's a very simple task. People who know already know why, but I just thought it'd be worth saying.
You're okay with kidnapping a child? Kidnapping a child?
No, we're saving a child via kidnapping. And yeah, it's fine, I think. Yes, now's...
How do we feel about Joyce saying that? I kind of would have preferred if we got, I don't know, a bit of character. Like, I don't know. I like that Will smiles and acknowledges that she's being bad and like she wants to take risks. But I almost wish it like we got something like, oh, like I'd kidnap my child if I could keep him from like getting taken by the Demogorgon in a heartbeat.
I have nothing to say about Joyce this season. Genuinely. Every time this character is on screen, I think back to season 1 and how she hard carries. Like, she, especially those early episodes of season 1, is the backbone of the show. And every time she pops up on screen, I'm just like, they have no idea what to do with your character. This is not the character that I like fell in love with. I don't even have it in me to criticize. I'm just deflated with this character at this point.
Fair enough. We shall carry on.
The
Yeah.
reason this episode is my least favorite of the 3 of the first 4 is it is meaningless. Tagging this Demogorgon with the air tag leads to nowhere. It accomplishes... I mean, maybe I'm wrong. We'll go through it and we'll find something that I missed. But from what I remember, it accomplishes nothing. And they dedicate the next 40 minutes to tagging this Demogorgon. And it's just an hour of precious time. Just, wow, gone.
Damn. If that's true, that's pretty freaking egregious. They do also, it's the other half is to like protect Derek and his family, which I guess sort of succeeds in like getting this plan, not the tracking, but they sort of succeed in the sense that they still have Derek safe. I'm still so like unbelievably annoyed that they messed it up. They had like one thing that they had to do right and they didn't do that thing right. Also on the point of, so I'm inclined to think you're right, but I could just be forgetting what it leads to as well. But that reminds me, oh, actually, no, I think I already commented that. Did I say in the last one? I know I complained about the bullet hole that Hopper gets in the first episode not leading to anything. But in the next episode, it does literally lead to one, like, heartfelt scene, which it's annoying that, like, you get a lot of tension from the bullet wound, like it's going to mean something more. But at the very least, it does have a consequence, which I appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah. You still here?
Oh yeah, I said I agreed. I agree.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear anything.
Yes.
Okay, so I feel like they've already kind of leapt over the first part of this plan, where it's, okay, we get someone inside, and they drug the entire family. Like, the idea that on this night, we will randomly convince the entire family to, like, eat a meal. And I guess it doesn't technically go this way, but it only happens because 3 of them pass out, like, in sync, and then one of them realizes what's going on.
Also, is there a safe way to drug someone to the point of them passing out? Is there a safe way to do that?
I mean, maybe if like Robin had like her nurse girlfriend like helping her and like getting the dosage right, you'd be okay.
Mhm.
But I think doing it safely is pretty hard because yeah, the whole thing is dosage. If you over or underdo it, you're not going to get the desired effect, and you might have side effects.
Yeah, just gotta suspend our disbelief for this scene for it to work, and that's kind of a lot of what Stranger Things season 5 is. Just suspend your disbelief and watch.
What's really funny to me though is they ultimately choose Erica. And it's like,
Yeah.
what if like just someone was on a diet? Like, what if one of the parents, because it ends up being the
Well,
daughter
that's what happens.
that
Yeah, that's what
isn't knocked out.
Mhm.
But I'm saying like, what if it wasn't? What if the dad just didn't eat the pie, and then she's like, oh my god, like What, you just drugged my
Well,
family?
I think she does say that this is your favorite pie. I mean, I can buy
Oh,
them just
okay.
eating. I can buy them just eating it. It's really like, I don't know, the drugging scene. It is what it is. I think what's funnier is what happens after. And we'll get to that.
Okay. So this might otherwise bug me if it was another kid, but one of the few things of consequence that comes out of the unhappy Wheeler household is the fact that Holly might actually, it makes sense for her to be enjoying this escape. It makes sense that she's not as worried as other kids might be to get back home because she was already like kind of in turmoil at her own house.
Yeah, that is worth noting. It's really cool because they show her in episode 1 when her parents are fighting, like crying and being really upset. So that does make sense. Good spot.
Yeah.
Fun fact:
Yeah.
yours truly is an Eagle Scout.
Oh shit! Really?
Yeah, Aura
Huh?
points. I know.
Damn. That's kind of neat. Yeah, I never did Boy Scouts. I did the religious version called Masters Club. You had to memorize Bible verses. You would memorize Bible verses, and you get these goofy little vests, and then you get like patches for memorizing certain series or like types of verses, basically.
That sounds incredibly boring.
Yep, I hated it. I do think it's interesting that presumably Henry has like control over the household, and he kind of I wonder if the idea is this is like the deepest, truest part of Henry, leaving Holly a way to potentially save him or reach him or understand him. Because otherwise, it'd be really weird for Vecna to leave like an important like piece of A, Henry's lore, and B, we know what that spyglass is going to do later. So I was going to just complain that Vecna wouldn't do that, but maybe that's the idea, that Henry does it.
I like that thought. I like that thought a lot.
Mhm.
Just in general, I like that Holly is dressed in Alice in Wonderland style, and there's Alice in Wonderland's imagery all over the room that she was just in. I think it's a neat touch, just because she's obviously in a form of Wonderland.
Okay. It's been so long since I've seen like Alice in Wonderland or any like related imagery that I never would have caught that.
No,
That's neat.
my girlfriend's a huge fan of Alice in Wonderland. I'm like looking at an Alice right now, and that's why I know.
I will say I thought he wouldn't show up again after episode 1, because I had like no memory of him. But this is the third time he has showed up for like just a couple seconds. The military commander guy from previous seasons.
Yeah, this guy who's like leading the hunt for 11, who they could have just let be the main antagonist for the military, who's just, I don't know, so random to introduce Dr. K, truly.
It's just weird that like they're almost honoring his character by like they keep slipping him in there, but he literally just gets to say like one line and then we're done. Like we don't have time.
Yeah, super annoying.
Shit, so they do have multiple helicopters, and they already knew Elle was down there. So I was gonna ask that before, and then I was like, oh, they probably just don't have the resources. Why weren't they just starting the search with helicopters? Why are you sending ground teams around to potentially get killed? Why not just locate her and then send everybody where she actually is?
I really think the lightning is a good defense. Like, I get what you're saying.
But they're up there. They're right there. There's
well,
3 of them.
now they know that she's definitely out there. They didn't know originally. Like, they were just looking. Wait, no, you're right. No, you're right.
Yeah,
You're
because they knew she was in the Upside Down. Maybe it's that in the sense that like they wanted a more precise pin on her location, so they actually had to know where she was in the Upside Down. I guess I could kind of get that, but yeah, it's just they should have avoided the whole helicopters in the Upside Down thing if that was going to be an issue.
Agreed.
Also, I'm actually really confused now. So I was really annoyed when he was like, oh, if you lose me down there, I'm not coming back. When they could have had it set up like how you, like when you're a kid and you like go to the store and you split up. It's like, okay, meet me back here at this time. Or if you get lost, like go up to the front desk. Instead of Hopper being like, if you lose me in the Upside Down, I'm gone. Wouldn't they just be like, oh, I'll go to like the nearest rift. I'll go to the nearest like giant rift that should be like stretching across the Upside Down. And then I can just enter the human world if Elle lifts one of the steel panels for me.
Yeah, and
like they have there's like a permanent doorway base. They just have to open the door if they want to get in and out.
And 11 can just watch him from the tub, so she could literally talk to him directly and be like, stay right here and tell me, like, I can see where you are, literally don't move and I'll be right there. And they can just, it's just so silly.
Yeah, but yeah, him saying our only way out is the supply convoy. It's like that's just bullshit. And I do like how quickly like we've just glossed over. Like he thought he would never make it back, and he's just acting like, oh, like we'll just find the supply convoy because we know that's going to be a
Yeah,
thing.
it's chill.
The others.
This is obviously Mr. Clark spoiling the future for
Mm.
what they upside down in the Dimension XR. I like these little details in general. I like just in shows and stories in general. I like when there's little details like this. I just don't like the way the wormhole's explained in the future, but that's for another episode.
Yeah. No, as for this right here, like yeah, I love when it's just something that would make sense. Of course, the crazy science teacher is talking about wormholes, and you wouldn't think anything of it or the picture, and then when you get to later on in the story, you realize that it was kind of a hint. Which yeah, that's cool.
Well, why the hell didn't you just start with that?
How do we feel about that?
I'm not a fan of Erica's character, to tell you the truth. It's kind of like the Robin scenario where they're just too over the top with the quirkiness. Mike is implying there that Tina is going to remember that Erica drugged her because after this plan, I don't think she's ever going to talk to you again. So you're saying that Tina is going to remember that Erica came to her house and drugged her, which is crazy. I don't know. This episode's ridiculous.
I think it's because the family, realistically, the family would probably put together, especially in a time period like this, they would probably blame Erica once they realized that they had been abducted.
For sure.
And the last thing they remembered was eating her pie.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh god, that looks awful.
Sure does.
God, there's just so
Whoa.
little to say.
I guess the only positive is I do like generally Robin and Will's relationship and the way she is kind of walking him through the process. I didn't remember that they took sleeping medication from a man who's clearly having trouble sleeping and like dying. That's
Yeah.
kind of crazy, but
Yeah, other than like how unethical that part is. Also, the idea was, yeah, they showed him for a second and they're like, ooh, that looks bad. Like, I don't know, it's weird to call attention to how much pain that man is in before we take his drugs.
and just because it's on the screen, this stupid truck and Murray's stupid character. Let's just keep it going, I guess.
Location outside of the White House, Fort Knox in Area 51, is a goddamn Christmas miracle.
Yeah, so we have Murray admitting that this is one of the most secure places on Earth, and they're trying to like have plausible deniability by him saying, "Oh, I couldn't get you everything," even though Dustin's sitting here asking for the flux capacitor literally, and Murray still somehow brought him a whole small militia's worth of ammo. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, I also just the fact that Murray specifies in that moment, like this is one of the most secure locations like on the planet. It's like I don't believe you if Murray can get into it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, if the Swiss Army knife can break into the prison, I doubt it's a secure prison.
Yeah. Also, I do like Steve being like proactive and kind of smart. That almost feels like a setup for him like having a good idea later on.
Which he
Like
will.
he's actually kind of learning to use his brain, which is neat.
Yep.
I like this is kind of a cute and kind of a fun moment, but like it's very obvious that Dustin is about to go for it. If I was Steve, I wouldn't just be sitting there like, "Don't do it, don't do it." I'd be grabbing him. I'd be like pulling him off of the car.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's you're right, but it's cute enough. I'm just like, who cares? Just a fun fact here: all of the driving that is done by Steve, that is actually him doing the driving. The actor Joe Keery is like an actual car fanatic and does all of the driving stunts himself. Just a cool little fun fact.
Oh, that's pretty neat. I didn't know that.
Hmm.
And yeah, I think this is also a good reason for Steve to be, you know, even more pissed at Dustin later, because like this is a serious infraction, putting a hole in your
Right.
friend's car.
Wait, you've forgotten the fact that her sister is missing and the parents are in the hospital.
That's something I did not realize at first that like he's like we learned later why Jonathan wanted to do it, and the idea is basically that he had the idea to propose for the wrong reasons. but it's kind of interesting to hear them coming from Murray in like almost a positive way, where he's like, you said things were stagnating, that the competition was moving in. And it's funny that you can like you hear that and you know like, oh, like that's obviously not going to fix that. Like that is a bad move, but it's not really something I thought about until we got to the scene itself.
It's also worth noting that Murray has no relationship of his own, and this is pretty realistic. I found in my own life, there's always like that one person in the family who always wants to give relationship advice and has just never had a stable relationship. So I think Murray being like, do it, it'll fix it, is both in character and funny, and also applies to the writing as well. So this is a small W.
A Murray W, that's a rare thing.
The last one.
I will say it's good. Is this actually, sorry, is this where we find out that there's a ring in that thing?
Yes, this is when we find out.
Okay. And yeah, that's what I meant where, okay, I thought maybe I was just stupid, but I hadn't realized exactly what he meant when he was saying that. And I didn't go back and listen to everything Murray said. So yeah, with the added context, I like how it enhances that conversation, and everything that he paints is like a reason to do it. Jonathan comes to understand later is a reason that he shouldn't do it,
This
which is pretty neat.
This subplot is one of the better subplots, I will say.
Yeah. It definitely could have done without like the Steve element, like the making it seem like a love triangle again. But Nancy and Jonathan have had like a problematic like relationship for a long time, so I'm pretty happy with like the direction that they decided to take it ultimately, because I do think it feels like pretty honest and natural.
Mm-hmm.
Because he let slip off the leash when he wants to go in the desert.
I'm sorry, is this character from previous seasons?
No, this is a fresh character. This is just a random military guy who keeps popping up.
Okay, so I don't know if it seems like Hop is just making a bunch of like crazy assumptions. Like he's like, oh, I know you're not a grunt. And then that turns into like, you're the kind of guy who like cuts ears off of people. Like you're one of those sick bastards who's like a sadist. Like he kind of loads a bunch of stuff that he wouldn't know into it. And then him saying and massacre a group of unarmed scientists and all in pursuit of one little girl. That makes it sound like Hopper like has history with him. Like he knows this guy specifically has done fucked up shit.
He knows that he's tied to what happened in season 4, where a bunch of unarmed scientists were massacred by the people chasing Eleven. I wish we actually saw this guy in season 4. I think that would have helped a little bit more. But in all honesty, like Hopper is right. Like his assumptions are crazy, but he is correct. Like this guy is essentially hunting down Eleven and plays a role in doing some crazy shit. So I don't see a problem with it personally.
That's my problem though. Like I don't get how Hopper just assumes that all correctly. I don't know how he just knows that about this guy. It almost seems like something he says so that we as the audience don't have to feel bad for anything that happens to him now.
I think you can just sum it up to instinct. I think I'm okay with the scene personally.
Okay.
The
Swear to God, I don't know. Just get out of my head. Get out of my head.
Oh.
First of all, what's behind that door is the worst part of this whole season. That's behind that door. You shouldn't have opened that door. Beyond that, I really wish this guy died, because in season 1, it is established that Eleven is not above killing people when it comes to keeping her friends safe. And I would argue it's one of the most interesting parts of her character, that this really cute little girl who doesn't speak much is perfectly okay killing people by making their brains explode inside their heads. It is some of the gnarliest and most interesting aspects of the season, and I think it could have been a really interesting development for her to essentially kill this guy in cold blood, and then have her and Hopper have to kind of deal with the fact that she just mind murdered someone, but instead she gets to get the necessary information, and then this guy is just okay when it seems like he's been injured pretty badly. And they had their cake and ate it too, and it just overall leaves me with the scene being like, what was the point of him struggling at all if it doesn't go anywhere?
Yeah, I think it was just this is how we get the information, and they couldn't add any kind of cool conflict to it. Even that's why it bugs me that Hopper makes those assumptions about him, because you could have had like, oh, like maybe this is something questionable we're doing. Like you could have had some kind of dilemma where this guy might not be a complete like asshole who deserves this, but it might, maybe 11 doesn't care. Maybe it's enough that he has already tried to kill her and Hopper, and he's going to put the lives of Holly and her friends before his. Like, that could have been interesting, but instead,
Agree.
like, we have to specify, like, don't feel bad for him for getting tortured, and he's not even going to die from it.
So, I mean, I'm not looking to really have this debate with you or anyone in the comments over is just following orders a bad thing. You know, I think it still is, but there was without a shadow of a doubt differences in terms of moral grayness for people who want to do the things that they are doing and people that are in something and do what they are told. Like, there is a range for blame, I feel, when it comes to just issues with criminal activity in general, right? So imagine this guy was like a nicer person of the military. Like, we could get some scenes of him being like, do we really need to go after this little girl? Like, it's just one little girl. How, like, I know, like, just what if there were moments of him questioning what they were doing to have him have a little more humanity? So if 11 kills him, it's like, yo, 11 just killed someone who maybe didn't deserve to die. But with him just being a regular run-of-the-mill, like, ear cutter offer that, like Hopper said, it makes it the scene so much more black and white and removes any nuance that could have been.
Yeah, like this, we just have the necessary information now, and now we have like a teaser at what's behind the door. Like, that's all we got from that scene, and that was literally a little girl torturing a grown man. You could have gotten so much more out. Even I like the idea that she kills him, and that's like a consequence. It'd be kind of neat if, like, maybe Hopper gave her shit for it, and then she was like, "Well, what are you talking about? I heard you just say, like, I'd kill 1,000 guys like you to protect the ones I love." And then maybe Hopper could think about, oh God, maybe I shouldn't have said that around her. Maybe it's bad that I think and I act that way.
Or
yeah.
and I think that's good, but it could be equally good and interesting if she is remorseful and feels bad and Hopper's like, no, like, that guy was after you. I don't care who he is. I don't care if he was just following orders. He had a gun pointed at you 20 minutes ago. Good riddance. Either way, you have a like fundamentally more interesting development than what we've been given.
Yeah, completely agree.
They haven't. They have Vecna. Pop star.
When 11 goes, they have Henry, Katarina looked at me and she goes, it's gonna be 8. And I went, no, they wouldn't do it. I was like, there's no way they would pull her back in. And she's like, I'm telling you. I'm like, Kat, there's no way. And then when we get the reveal, she was just like, I told you. And I just sat there in disbelief.
I was skeptical that it was Henry, but 8 had not entered my mind. It's been so long. I did not have that demon on my radar.
Be polite, unless it's a Mormon or a Democrat. Listen, I know you probably hate me right now.
What do you think about
but
that line?
I thought you might want your.
I forgot about it, but I find it funny.
I think that's a great line. That line made me laugh when I first heard it.
I wonder. I don't know how much we're supposed to read into it, but someone did like comment like that the whole Turnbow family was like bad. So I think it's funny that we like briefly show the sister like kind of picking on the brother, and then the mom being like, "This is not a jungle gym," and the dad's like not even at the table; he's having wine.
Yeah,
I don't know. It's kind of interesting. It's interesting that like even a character as new as Derek, we have to take the time to like kind of flesh out his family for something like this.
Yeah, which is ultimately leads to nothing.
Yeah, it's just just so much waste. Like, please just use your resources better.
Favorite pop.
Aside from everything.
Okay, so like that was what I was annoyed about earlier. Like, they act like there's no holes, and then they get to the moment and they're like, this could, like, there's a lot of things that could go wrong that would like ruin this part of the plan. And then we kind of comedically, like, we're just lampshading it. We comedically cut to the fact that they've eaten everything, so they should be fine.
Yeah, I mean, Dustin says there's a lot of holes, and they went, oh, we don't have any other option. And again, the fact that we're dedicating a whole episode to this it's ridiculous.
Eat your damn pie.
You alienate your spears.
See, that's what I'm talking about, though. Like, they're already, so Tina isn't going to have the pie because she's, like, watching her diet. It's just, if that had been the dad, like, Erica would have been screwed. The whole plan would have, like, gone tits up. Like, it's so lucky that it's just Tina that chooses to opt out, and then Erica's able to take care of her.
It's incredibly lucky, yeah.
Ken?
I will admit, Derek just laughing in response to his parents, like, passing out, that did like that did get a chuckle out of me.
Derek?
It's completely ridiculous, but that's why it's sorry, Derek.
No.
It's completely ridiculous, but that's why I got a chuckle out of me.
He's funny. I like for all of as much as I want to be like, oh, he's not funny. This is not serious enough. He's funny. The actor is so committed that it works.
Yeah. It's just he's just such a little shit that again, I wouldn't believe it for a second, but the idea that he is just so cartoonishly like an asshole, his first instinct is like that's hilarious. And especially contrasted with his sister who has the appropriate reaction. She's like, "Oh my god, what is happening to my parents?" But yeah.
I mean,
No survival instincts on Tina. She just stood there and let herself get injected. Didn't run, didn't fight, didn't do nothing.
and right in the neck, like that's who cares? Just move on. Who cares? Who cares? It doesn't matter.
That was another one. I felt guilty about it, but I laughed. Eat your damn pie made me laugh. Oh, I don't. Sorry, I lost my mouse.
Gonna keep saying this. So much time just to the setup. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah, there's a lot of empty space in this episode where it's just sweet. The thing's gonna happen to get us to the next part of the plot. And there's not a lot of good or bad. It's just we roll forward. Like slow down. We spent like what an entire like 2 minutes just getting the Home Alone traps ready. I will say it's good that they had that scene earlier where they test the tracker to see if they can shoot it into something without destroying or breaking it. Because I would just assume that that would break or destroy it. And even if they're like kind of playing fast and loose with the logic to make it happen, like it wouldn't happen like that in real life, I appreciate that they went out of their way to make a scene to establish that yes, in this universe, that's how it works. So you got to deal with it.
I appreciate it, but it also begs the question if the writers do clearly have the ability to be logical with their series and implement logic that they want to implement, why cherry pick it so much and just let it be so fast and loose elsewhere?
Yeah. Well, it's cutting corners. They have certain goals, and then those take priority
Again,
over the actual like story.
I really want you to keep in mind and like correct me if I'm wrong. I don't believe this tracker goes anywhere, which makes this whole episode pointless. But we will see.
Yeah, I don't remember it amounting to anything either, but I could be horribly, horribly wrong.
They're still.
I do wish this is the second time they've like commented about their vehicle being like a risky situation, and it's annoying because it's just not. Like, even though this is a military occupied place, even though they have cameras supposedly everywhere, they will be speeding the van like through the streets, and then they'll do the same thing with the car, and it's just not going to matter. Like, they're not going to get any heat on them or any questions asked for it.
Also, remember last episode we were talking about how it's strange that the military doesn't keep more tabs on them?
Yes.
Someone in the comment section pointed out that in season 1, Brenner taps all of their phones immediately, like before he even has concrete evidence that they have 11. So one man and 5 scientists do more due diligence than the United States military in top 3 most secure place in the world. Just saying.
That's wild. I saw another comment on there that said like the government had sent a death squad after like some of the main characters. Which, furthermore to the point, like, why are these guys not being monitored specifically?
It's insane.
Yeah.
Their food can be a lot.
You don't like this?
When I couldn't find you this morning.
Okay, if he's just talking about, like, the way he said it, I guess that's fine. I was just a little worried that he was about to... I don't know why, I don't remember episode 3, like, barely at all. Like,
nothing.
I was just so distant.
That's my point. This is the most... Like, sorry to cut you off. This episode is pointless. I'm like 90% sure the tracker situation doesn't go anywhere, and this whole episode is about getting this Demogorgon shot with the tracker, but then they lose track of it. It serves just to get Steve, Dustin, Nancy, and Jonathan into the Upside Down. That's it. It is an hour for this one thing to happen, and then for, I think, Will to get connected to the Demogorgon and be like, oh my god. But other than that, like, they essentially need like 5 key events to happen, and they give you an hour and 6 minutes of an 8-episode season. Yeah,
it is wild.
Mm-hmm.
But Yeah, if he's just talking about like the way he said it, then I think this is appropriate. Him just like, I'm sorry about the way I said it to you. As long as he's not walking back, the hey mom, like quit trying to helicopter me so often. Like I'm not gonna follow your orders, quote unquote, like for the rest of my life. Because I appreciated him sticking up for himself. But yeah, if he's just saying like I'm sorry for the tone or whatever, saying like all your ideas were dumb, I think that's totally fair.
I think this episode's awful. I think this is the first moment in the season where I was like, okay, they are really fumbling. While I was watching, like episodes 1 and 2 aren't great, but this episode, man, it flies under the radar because it hides in between episodes 2 and 4, and all everyone talks about is episode 4, and then Act 2, everyone's just like, oh, this is so shit. But I haven't seen a soul talk about how this episode is so meaningless, wastes so much time. They're just meandering. Oh man, this was the first moment when I was watching it live where I was like, oh, we're cooked. They're fumbling.
Yeah, this is like the most bored I've been
Yeah,
like
it's
while we're
just
trying to
boring.
record
It's
these.
just boring.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think about that night all the time. The night it came for you. The night all this started. I wasn't even home. My shift ran late. I finally do get home. What do? I smoke cigarettes, drink cheap wine, and watch Cheers reruns until I pass out. I didn't know you were missing for 8 hours.
Mom, what happened to me? It's not your fault.
8 hours. What kind of mother doesn't check on their 11-year-old boy? Jerry's still out on any friend.
Pause
She certainly
it.
is interesting.
Yeah.
All right. After I just bitched and moaned, I will say I like that scene. I do like Joyce still feeling a little bit of guilt, and it does explain why she's so overprotective, because in his weakest moment she wasn't. I think that is a good moment. It's sad that I genuinely don't think she gets another scene of good development this entire season.
Yeah, I think it's pretty well justified, and honestly, for me, it's hard to like separate the bias, but anytime you like accurately and like at least decently reference season 1, I'm gonna be a happy camper.
Yeah.
So I do like us getting just a bit of depth added to what we pretty much already knew. We already knew that she got home late and that she she didn't check on him until the morning. But I do like the inclusion that she kind of throws in there that she had been like drowning out her pain, that she'd been indulging in vices, and that she could have checked on Will before that.
Agreed.
Even then, I will say she has had enough time to think about it. You'd think she would have, on some level, I guess, recognized that even if she had checked on Will, like he was already abducted.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But yeah. What does she mean by Harrington thing to do?
I have no idea.
I don't remember his family. I don't remember his family's reputation. I
They're
just know
they're
his
just
reputation.
Rich. They're just rich. They haven't
Got it.
been up in the show.
Okay.
I think the
Yeah.
idea of them jumping the Demogorgon is cool, but it doesn't go anywhere, and they spent too much time on it.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of them jumping it in season 1, and I do think it's crazy how like we have so many more people and a whole house to do it, like a bigger house to do it with,
Mm-hmm.
and we don't we don't really accomplish that much more. Okay, so Demogorgon just did like its signature move, which I fucking hate, where it has somebody like dead to rights, and instead of lunging or yelling or grabbing them, it yells and then it lets them run away and then it starts chasing them again.
See,
Like, it annoys me every time because if it didn't, it would have just killed Lucas right there.
what you failed to realize is there's a pallet right at the base of that stairs that they're going to add in the next Dead by Daylight map. And Lucas was going to drop the pallet to stun the Demogorgon, but it was loading a shred. It was actually being tactical. So that's kind of on you.
Okay, my bad. I'm an idiot. I apologize. I know that Lucas is like the athletic one, and like they're kind of desperate. I do think it's crazy to think though that if he had like slipped or not made this jump, he would have fallen into the barbed wire.
Yo, yeah. I mean, I think
That would have been so fucking gnarly. Like, thank God that didn't happen, but holy shit, like he was just one slip away from ending up where the Demogorgon ends up.
at the same time, though, if anyone was going to do it, Lucas is clearly in the best shape out of all of them.
Yes.
So,
Yes. Yeah. That is a crit. Wait, why wasn't she just ready with the tracker? Did she shoot it
No,
already?
the tracker was
That's
already
what-
shot. The first shot was the tracker, and
Oh, okay, okay.
so this bothered me as well. They're in a wine cellar. Jonathan, you have ammo everywhere. Just start chucking wine and alcohol at it and just keep lighting it. Like, why? All right, yeah.
I thought you were making a wine bottle joke.
No.
Just break a bottle or two and start stabbing it. Like,
That
come
too,
on, this is
that
easy.
too, that too.
That was another one. That's the second time where I don't mind it having that ability. I just wish it was consistent because it changes depending on what they want to happen. But the Demogorgon like slipping into the inside out like immediately, like, it's cool to see, but it has implications that I don't think it realizes the damage it does.
The inside out, the upside down, whatever.
Sorry, but yeah, it just straight up leaps to the wall and it just so quickly
Yeah.
just rips a hole immediately and walks through it. I will say I do like that this appears. I could be totally wrong actually. Is this supposed to be the abyss? Is that why it's so like glowy?
Yes. Wait, no.
Okay.
I don't know. I don't know.
Damn it! Anderson, what are we doing?
Thank God no one is chilling in their backyard right now.
Yeah, or thank God there's no swimming pool.
True.
Hey, no, 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 no.
And there it is. The one thing. Worse yet, the one person that they needed to get the blindfold just right on. They didn't do it. Like, why even put a sack over his head and tie it? Like, it's so stupid to me that like they basically had a foolproof way to make sure things didn't go to shit. And of course they had to. Someone just had to fuck up so that this could all happen.
Like I said, the biggest flaw of this season for me is they break how far I'm willing to suspend my disbelief. They just at every turn something needs to happen for the plot. It just happens. It's just like, why isn't Erica just standing guard looking at them? Come on.
Yeah. Or again, or better yet, why are the lights on? Like, why can they see where they are? Why not leave them in the van and like keep them in the dark? It's just
and
so.
I'm gonna use
again,
the
just
own.
so- Yeah.
I'm gonna use the show to explain why this is so bad. In season 2, the same thing happens. Will is a spy, and they need to essentially get him in a place where they don't know where, like, he doesn't know where he is. So they cover everything in cardboard, they black it out, and he's in a shed, and he has no idea. And then the phone goes off in the house, and that's how he remembers. And it's believable that, everyone's concerned about the shed, and no one's thinking about the phone going off. Like, that, I could believe that. This is just like, they're in this bright barn that Derek knows about. Like, sorry, I know it's a kid. Put him flat on the earth. Like, tie him in a way where he literally can't move or can't do anything. It's just ridiculous.
Yeah. Again, it's just there are ways to like stupid proof this, and it's just so annoying that after like the pie part of the plan works, and after like getting the dorm like all the Home Alone shit with the Demogorgon works, and then of course where it all falls apart is whoever was on blindfold duty apparently fucked up. Like, it's just insane. And yeah, I cannot believe the same characters who have that experience from season 2. Like, that could have been a cool moment. Imagine if they basically did the same thing. They're like, all right, black out the room, blah, blah, blah. And then one of them, like, rips the phone, like, out of the wall. And they're like, not this time.
Yeah, that could have been cool.
But yeah. Damn.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Doesn't that rely on the fact that Vecna knows what this one barn looks like? This random barn in the middle of nowhere? Like, so what if they just brought him to the woods?
I think Derek just has to know, right? Am I wrong? I think it's just
no,
Derek has to know, and then Vecna, like, by proxy would know. The same way that Will, like, recognizes what the phone is, and then he's able to, like, because they're like, it's like a weird kind of link where Vecna has just access to your mind as you're using it. So if you can see something, he can see it, basically.
I think what you could do,
and since Derek's his next victim, he can see through Derek.
If you just drag Derek into a random spot in the woods, like truly random, pitch black, it doesn't even matter. You don't need the blindfold. He won't know. You're lost in the woods.
Yeah. No, like, yeah. Again, it's just there are ways to stupid proof it. So it's insane that they didn't.
Hi.
And there's the Max reveal.
And
Damn.
yeah.
That was, dude, like that kind of hurt.
Does the episode end
Like,
there? Does the episode just end there?
yeah.
What?
Wait, let me double check. Yep.
What? Oh my fuck.
That's crazy.
Dude, this
I feel kind of bad. Like I really struggled to find things like positive or negative to like hone in on. I was so understimulated by that entire episode.
we talk I think we talked a lot. Like this episode is still gonna be the same length as the others, probably like right in the middle. I just cannot believe how little is accomplished this episode. How little did like it's so crazy to look at how slow they are moving now. And then in episode 7, they just lore dump the entire Upside Down. I don't know what is wrong with Netflix and not understanding how to properly allocate time, but why? Why are we dedicating an hour to this tracking the Demogorgon subplot that again goes nowhere? Think about it. No, seriously. They shoot the Demogorgon with the tracker. Next episode, it goes beyond the wall. They lose track of it. They can no longer find Holly because it's gone. And then she just falls out of the sky. Getting the tracker into the Demogorgon serves no purpose other than getting the group to the Upside Down. That's it. And I understand, like, I can even appreciate wanting to find a way for them to get there, but to dedicate a whole episode to something that probably could have been done in 5 minutes, I don't know. I can't imagine the writing room. It's like, okay, we need to get these characters into the Upside Down. Let's give it a whole episode. What?
Yeah, all the like waste we've been talking about, I feel like this episode kind of epitomizes that. Like less so like the bad like character and world ruining stuff, and more so like the complete misallocation of the little time that we have left.
Yeah, like I just watched this episode and I really don't have, like, I couldn't tell you many of the moments from this episode. I would say the only one that I thought stood out, and this isn't even because it was good or bad, just because our analysis I found was great, was the Eleven and Hopper like potential with the soldier dude. That's like the only part where I was like, that I only remember it because it could have been interesting. Every other thing just ranges from meandering to like some okay, and then just mostly just like, I really hate to use this word, but this episode is just mid. Like, that's the best way I can describe it. It's just mid in the worst way possible.
Yeah. For me, it's just, I think boring is just the word that keeps coming to mind. I was so bored. I just could not, I was trying so hard to care. And I feel like even though, like, I'm a lot less invested in the show than you are, and like, I wasn't really expecting anything good, and I haven't really been enjoying it, I get a decent bit out of it. Like, kind of like the Hopper and Elle scene. Like, there have been things to latch onto and to talk about. I feel like this was the one where, like, I struggled the most, where it's like, I got nothing to say. Like, it's just kind of okay to bleh, to just sloppy bleh. Like, nothing. Yeah, I don't know.
I also just...
It's very, very unremarkable.
See, I have a feeling we're gonna love doing Act 2, because Act 2 is so abysmal and terrible that picking it apart is gonna be hilarious. You know, even
it's gonna be a gold mine.
Episodes 1 and 2, there is some things to praise, some things to criticize. This episode, you just sit here and you're like, man, I want to say this episode is my least favorite kind of bad. It's boring bad. When you have something that is like truly atrocious, you go to the curve of like, you're just watching it with your buddies and it's so much fun to be like, what is going on?
Yeah.
This is in the realm of like, again, my biggest issue with Stranger Things is even in seasons 3 and parts of 4, even when it was at its worst previously, if you just shut your brain down, just like buffer, just boot down, you can have fun if you just don't think about what's happening in front of you. Even in this episode, even if you turn your brain off, it's not fun. And the second that happened, they lost a lot of the fan base. And that is so crazy to me, because The reason that I believe they haven't done a lot of dark things is they don't want to alienate the fan base by making it too dark. But in doing that, they've hit a middle ground that no one is happy. I think that's just crazy.
Yeah, yeah. No, I think that's a really good way to put it. It's like this. It's just they're playing it safe where they're like the first season has such a unique and like awesome balance of like it's really well represented by the fact that you have like the four main character kids, and then you have Hopper's story, like Hopper and Joyce's story, where you can oscillate between like these two different tones, and as long as like you keep a good balance and you're like delivering a satisfying story for both of them, you can like hook people. But it, like you said, it feels like we've lost like both not, maybe not even both extremes. It feels like we kept like the goofy kid stuff, and we just keep shying further and further away from actual horror.
The kids have
And
gotten
it
older and gotten goofier somehow.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Yeah, and that like that's another thing we'll get to too. Like it's really endearing watching season 1 and just like hearing their like squeaky little voices and like hearing their voices crack all the fucking time. Like there's not a moment where you think about it, where you go like, oh, like how old is this actor really? You just think it's the character. Like it's
Yep.
just there's no disconnect. It's the kid cast at the appropriate age, and they're talking and acting and sounding like a kid their age. And then here we are with like shittier dialogue, shittier jokes, and none of the kids are like the
Shittier
right
acting.
age. So like
Shittier acting.
yeah,
too.
we have like it's just worst of both worlds.
What's really interesting, and you bring up like the different dynamics between Hopper and Joyce and then the kids. What makes Eleven such a great character in that first season is how she threads both lines, where there's so much joy to be had with her and Mike's dynamic and like how cute everyone is, and then she murders people. And I've
Yep.
said this before. When I rewatched season 1 last month, it's specifically the moment where Hopper is talking to Brenner, and they're like trying to figure out what they're gonna do now that Hopper and Joyce know. And Hopper looks him dead in the face and goes, I'm not gonna tell a soul. I don't give a shit about this project. I just want to get the kid back. And when I saw that, I was taken aback by how serious and dark the scene was, because that is Hopper essentially saying, I do not care about the other kids that you've killed. I do not care about the future kids that you're going to kill. It's not my business. All I care about is saving this one kid because I have emotionally tied that kid is like Sarah. It is such an incredibly well done, complex moment that I didn't remember. And again, there's like another scene early in season 1 where Will's dad comes home and like blames Joyce for him disappearing, and these are all these like super adult conversations that
Yep.
I couldn't even imagine being in this season. And it's wow. And the fact that the kids have aged and it feels like their character arcs have regressed with the exception of Dustin and Lucas. The acting is somehow worse. I don't get it. I don't get it.
No, it's a real shame. I will say I am glad that I don't know. When I first saw season 1, it just was so like night and day. Because I saw the first one, and then my friends were like, "Well, you'll love the rest." And then you watch season 2. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I'm kind of I'm on board with the normies, but it has been a long time since I saw it. Season 2 was definitely my least favorite, and I want to say it's because of the way it portrayed Hopper. Because when I think about why it made me so upset, I don't really think about any other character. I just think about how much like it made me dislike what they did with Hopper's character.
I think if you went back, I think if we went back, you'd feel differently. I think I could bring you to the light side and seeing that season 2 is the second best season. Who said that? Who said that? But yeah, man, it's sad because season 1, it's not just a good season of TV. It's one of the best seasons ever. Just in anything, it's
Yeah.
that good.
It's like you said this in your video, like it's something special. Like, and I couldn't agree more. Like when I first saw it, like that's about the vibe that I got. I was like, this is just different. This isn't anything like I thought it would be. I had heard about Stranger Things for years before I checked it out, and when I finally saw it, I was like, this is just nothing like what I thought it would be. Like I just expected like goofy kid humor and 80s bullshit and maybe some spooky stuff that I don't really understand. And it became like it's this like incredibly tightly written, like super emotional journey, and it has like every character. Like it's so crazy to think that a big annoyance is how many like stupid characters there are, when the like one of the sticking points of season 1 is that even with like the pretty wide cast of characters and the wide like range of ages, they were all so good. Even the stupid love triangle in season 1, like it's a good love triangle in season 1. Like it's actually decent. It serves a purpose. It ties into multiple parts of the story. Like it's just insane what's been lost.
Before we close out this episode, I'm going to jump ahead to make a comparison, just since we're praising season 1, in the difference in quality storytelling. You said in your Mando video, which everyone should go check out, Mandalorian at Saint Wombo, that a good story, the difference between a good and a great story and a weaker story is, do you gain more the closer you watch it? And later on in the season, Dustin learns about the dark matter off screen by slipping into a random room, learning it all on his own, then explaining it to the audience after the fact. And that is why it doesn't make sense. Compare this to Hopper's scene in Hawkins when he's asking to see the tapes. It makes sense why he's asking to see the tapes. We watch it with him. And if you're really paying attention, you might pick up on the fact that there's no rain on that tape. But if you're not, you're probably just thinking like the other cops, like, like it looks fine, like that's weird. And then when Hopper goes, you see anything weird about those tapes? And the other cops go, no. And then he goes, there was rain on that night. You see any rain on those tapes? It is essentially a way of you being present for the scene and then the character pulling you into it. And
Yes.
How are these the same writers? How are these the same writers?
Yeah, and that's like a good story is like it's capable of outsmarting you, and it's capable of having a bunch of characters that are smarter than you. Like even I'd already seen it, and it had been years, but even knowing like that there was more depth to it, and that I should be trying to sleuth along with Hopper, I completely missed it. And I remember thinking, I was like, "There's something goofy at the lab. Like he gets a clue here," and I still didn't put it together.
Me
So
too.
Hopper pointing it out, it's like, oh, this is like what better way to convince an audience member a character is smart than by having the character be like demonstrably smarter than the audience who is watching. And that's something that season 5 is incapable of.
They just spell everything out, and yeah.
Everyone is so dumb.
I'm gonna be honest, I can't remember everything about episode 4. Like I remember the big moments. I have a lot of good things to say about the next episode. I think there are a lot of moments that I really, really like, and I guarantee you this is going to be the happiest you see me in terms of positive stuff. And then it's just going to get so much worse. So if you're at this point and you're like,
Yeah.
and you're checked out, be like, oh, this guy's a dick. It's just going to get worse aside from next episode.
I like the very end of the next episode, but honestly, even up until that, and there are some things to complain about that payoff. I have a pretty big one.
Mhm.
But the rest of the episode, I feel like episode 4 gets a lot of its credit simply for how it ends and simply for what it does for a character that has been frustrating for many, many years. I think it distracts from like just how stock standardly bad the rest of the episode is. So I think we'll have plenty to bitch about until we get to that point.
I'm not saying I'm going to be jumping in the next episode like, oh my god, it's so good. Like this. No. I'm definitely going to rip it apart. I just think there are like a genuine, and I mean this like literally, a handful of moments that I think are well done with a few characters. Beyond that, it's going to be much more like the other episodes.
Yeah.
All right,
Well, that's about it for me.
What a lame episode.
So boring.
Like we've become so bored. We've talked more than the episode went on because we're just nothing.
we talked a bunch about season 1. That's how bored season 5 has us. We just want to talk about the good season.
We interlinked and we're like, yo, what if we just praise season 1 for a bit? Like,
I will say, if you ever want to cover season 1, that'd be fun to do one day. So good, definitely deserves it.
Well, we'll see how these videos do, and if people want to hear it, I'd be down. Like It's always
Hell
strange.
yeah.
Before we end, I somehow feel when things are beloved, they somehow still don't get enough love. Like Arcane season 1 is a great example. Arcane season 1
Yeah.
is one of the best seasons ever, and everyone knows it, and I still don't think people talk about it enough.
Yeah, I mean that's how I feel about like early Game of Thrones. It's just insane to me, like to look back and like there you could live your whole life like watching season 8 like breakdowns and reasons why it sucks, and there's like no coverage of like what makes season 1 good. Not no coverage, but in comparison to the coverage complaining about season 8, it's basically nothing, which is
Hmm.
just really sad to me. But yeah, it's just when things are good, like you take them for you watch it, you go, yeah, this is amazing, and then it's not until something like this comes along that you go, oh, holy shit, like I should have been grateful for that, I guess, because it can
Yeah.
get really, really shit.
And I think this is something to say about media discourse is talking shit about something to me has a much shorter half life than talking about something that you love. Like after we're done breaking
Yeah,
down all these episodes, I'm like good on never talking about the season again on this channel. To tell you the truth, like I'm just gonna leave it. And I know that some people like to like double and triple and quadruple dip and just never like drop the thing, but that's why I love talking about Song of Ice and Fire so much because I like love essentially all 5 books in their entirety. But it's painful to see an episode like this, and that's why I summoned you to cover the season, because thinking about season 1 and then comparing it to here, even though I wouldn't say it's at that level, it very much does feel like what happened to Thrones.
yeah. I will say in its defense, and yeah, you already said it's not at that level. It almost kind of confuses me that people have come around. That's why I do think it probably has to be the time element, but compared to other things that have flopped, like Arcane season 2, like Game of Thrones season 8, like it is surprising to me that this got the treatment it got. And we might we can discuss it later, but I have a couple theories as to why that happens or
All
why it
right.
happened for this season.
Well, with all that being said, that was episode 3. Hope you all enjoyed, and we'll see you tomorrow for episode 4.
Adios.
Peace.